My name is Roel Merckx. I'm from Belgium, where I've worked all my career at, well, not all my career, but mostly at one university, KU Leuven, where I was a professor in soil fertility practically all my career. I started as a PhD student there, but I was doing my work then in Holland, in Wageningen, where I worked in an institute called Institute for the Application of Atomic Sciences in Agriculture. It does no longer exist, but anyway, I did my PhD on a totally different topic, namely the risk analysis of radioactive isotopes from soil to crops. After that, I was going back to Belgium, to Leuven, where I was appointed professor in soil fertility. Now, during all that time in Leuven, in Belgium, which is between '86 and last year, I've been working mostly with a big accent on soil fertility issues in Africa. Very concrete plans is maybe too much said, but the idea is, of course, we are in a transition here. We have had a very successful DG until November last year, when I attended his send-off ceremony. And so I've always said, well, it will not be easy to go towards a new one. So I want to be here in the transition, assisting the new DG to do this difficult transition. There is that, but there is also the transition from, well, the former IITA, like more or less independent institute, towards the 1CG, which is still an unfinished story. And I think it's quite important that people who know IITA, who have been working with IITA for a long time, are in the board to assist the DG and IITA to, well, not survive, because you will survive for sure, but to maybe become more important in the 1CG, because sometimes I feel that other lesser institutes dominate the tone in those discussions, and I think that has to change. And I think, at least scientifically, we need to, one of my plans is we need to reinstate a program committee, because that's the core of the business. You cannot treat IITA like an ordinary business that has to make profit. There is something else at stake here. We need to have impact. We need to do something relevant for African farmers. We need to follow our mission. And in general, boards have only two tasks. It can be very simple. First one is select the right person to be the DG, and then make sure that the institute stays close to its mission. That's all. It's a very simple job. On paper, in practice, a lot of other things come in between. But that's, in short, my plan or my ideas to achieve with this board. The May board meeting has a few tasks, which is approving the accounts of 2022, which we did, and also approving the budget for 2023 and giving green light for the plans of IITA, giving green light for what is in the pipeline. And then, okay, we had to replace a few board members, we have to change the chair, things like that. But effectively, none of these resolutions have been already voted, because we were not in quorum, as I explained in the meeting this morning. So then also the main thing was looking at the finances, and as Christian also explained this morning, we are in a very good situation. The financial health is excellent. It has never been that good, and with many things already or still in the pipeline that will improve the situation even more during the course of this year. So honestly, I was surprised that board meetings nowadays only take 4 hours, whereas in the past we spent twice a year, like almost a full week, in one hub, and in November here when all the scientists are here. And as I said, my plan is we have to go back to the system a little, because we need to be close to the scientists to know what's going on, to listen what their cravings are, what their problems are. Not that we interfere with management, but that we at least are aware of the context of all the decisions we take. There's so many things you cannot judge on paper only, let not online only. So you have to see the people, feel the context, feel the heat of Africa before you start talking about drought and hard work in the field, things like that. So I think it's crucial we need to enlarge the scope of the board again a little more towards the activities of IITA and not only looking at the figures, because that can be done anywhere. You don't have to be here to do that, but then you miss the point. Let me say one thing, the 1CG has distinct advantages, of course, that there is an overarching organization that takes care of things that better be organized together. So to avoiding duplication, avoiding overlapping things, making systems similar all over. But then when it comes to work in Africa, there are specificities that cannot be covered by the 1CG. So on the one hand, we will do our best to make sure that the 1CG is the common brand, but then in Africa, IITA is already a strong brand, and that should not disappear in a very vague overall institute or organization that has no connection with the reality in Africa. So it is double-sided to do this job. On the one hand, you have to make sure that IITA stays on track and does not get drowned in the 1CG, but on the other hand, there are the advantages that we also need to foster. The advantages of working for a larger organization in the hope that we can reduce transaction costs and overhead costs, which is not obvious. It may turn out to be the opposite, which is what we are going to try to avoid. It's easier in communication to talk about IITA as one of the institutes of the 1CG, but with an emphasis on the role of IITA, I think. But not sure whether I make it very clear. We have not really discussed this at length in the board, but it's for sure something that is on our plate, because, as I said earlier, perhaps there is more that IITA can do to make it more prominently present as an institute, because if you open the website of the 1CG, there are other institutes way more prominently present than IITA, and that should not be, because I think IITA is the most important institute of the 1CG. And so that's, if you visit the 1CG website, you don't get that impression. And that's something we need to think about and give advice to management on. Maybe emphasize this a little more, because it's important. Well, I think definitely more interest from the board in the activities of IITA, because that, I think, has been eroded during the time that we had this board meetings like we had one yesterday. I don't even know how long that situation has been active, with a very short board meeting and no program committee, nothing actually. So that you can expect that we will be here physically much more prominently present to get to know what is going on and to learn from the scientists what can be improved to change our mind and to make sure we have better capabilities to advise management. So that's my hope, that we can achieve this.